to get your crack team to the finals. From Nate's cousin A persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb, and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or a beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but plan for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start them and sit them, keep them or quit them. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions? Just tell us. Huh. With a million podcasts out there, we're grateful you chose Toilet.
What up, everybody? Welcome in. I dropped my phone to Toilets to Titles, episode number 252. Can't believe we're that far along. This is our Week 11 NFL preview. We're so glad you're here. Sorry we got a little bit of a late start tonight, but without our ringleader, Justin, we just get off the rails and, it happens. So I'm joined by my buddy Mark. How you doing tonight, pal?
We're doing great. We already broke his cardinal rule playing a song twice in a row. But like I was saying before we went on, I think that's my new favorite.
Yeah, I like that one. It's good. It's so hard to tell because like sometimes I'll listen to it and I was like trying to think what it is or whatever, and I like that one. And then I'm glad you said that one. I like that one.
Yeah.
So are you all recovered from last night?
No.
What the hell? I mean.
Dude, they pissed crap everything all over themselves. Like it was, and that's the worst part about it. Like that game was horrible to watch. Like it was
terrible.
Not enjoyable at all. But the rest of the world can turn it off. I had to sit and watch every second of that game, and it was disgusting.
What and the thing was that I mean the Rams defense played really well. They really did. Their line is just it's been great versus amazing. But they just keep shooting themselves in the foot on offense. That was it the first play of the second half for that high or the bad snap, or I don't know if it's the first play, but it was very early in the second half. Where they and then you're behind the 8 ball there already, and it was like it just seemed like every time they would get a little momentum going, it would stop and. It was frustrating. I wanted the Rams when I'm a noted Dolphins hater. So,
well, I mean, I think the perfect sum of everything was when Stafford threw the interception, the defense got the ball back for us, and then Kyron immediately fumbled it back to Miami.
Yeah.
On the very next play.
Yeah,
that summed up everything. And I mean, I get why they did it. They got to get them ready for the rest of the season. But we had two of our injured offensive linemen come back in that game. And I felt like before that game, our offensive line was starting to finally put things together. And then they threw these two guys back in there, and they just looked like they were completely lost out there. Like it was we started fresh.
Yeah. And I said the Dolphins defense looked good. Their front looked really good. It was not what I expected. That's for sure. I didn't think the Rams would necessarily blow them out, but I thought the offense would perform better. I was thankful that Puka did do enough to get me a win. I think it was the least amount of points I'd ever scored in a league to win. I had to start Khalif Raymond because Nico Collins ended up being out. He got 0 points. The guy I was playing, one of his quarterbacks was Cooper Rush, so he got -2 points. Tank Bigsby got me like 0.4. I'd been scoring like 180 points a week in that league. Like I was leading the league in points by a lot. The last 2 weeks have been rough, but I scored like 64 points and I won 64 to like 56.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it was awesome.
You want to talk about the staff league real quick?
No, I don't, but we can.
Me versus you.
I can't. I
doubled you up this week.
Yeah, it's probably not the first time it's happened this year. My team's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know
Stroud,
what.
man, he's just I don't know what you do in fantasy. I mean, you got to pray Nico comes back this week and think that changes it. I don't know.
Well, and with Stroud, you can't bench him. I mean, what you know what I mean? I guess
Yeah.
I could, but I don't even know what my other options are. I know Purdy's my super flex. I just forgot who my other starter was, but I mean, I don't know.
I saw in a couple league. I saw one league. He was benched for Russell Wilson, and it was the right move.
That would be the right move. Unfortunately, the only quarterbacks available in that league that starts is old Jeans, old Will Levis, and no,
No, thank you.
no,
Yeah.
I'd rather keep biting the bullet with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
And Brock Purdy. I mean, it's just, I don't know. One of those. It's just tough. You know, like I said, Tank Bigsby again didn't help me in that league. You know, same with Jahmyr Gibbs. He was kind of whatever. And Brian Thomas again, not, you know, I was playing Mac Jones for that one. That doesn't help. You know, I got played in that league. We can talk about.
We've talked about how bad Trevor Lawrence has been this year, but you really start to realize
you really appreciate Trevor Lawrence when it's Mac Jones.
Mac Jones.
Oh, I got offered James Conner for my Kenneth Walker in that league. I don't know. I might as well just do it. I mean, Conner's been better than Walker.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know.
Before we get going and forget everything, please check out the website, toiletfiles.com. Still, all our content's up there. Everything you need to know is there. And also, get in our Discord chat. It's a lot of fun, pretty much just like this all the time. You know, like I said, 24 hours a day, it seems like something's going on in there. You know, whether it's Frankenstank or just NFL, fantasy, whatever it is, it's all there. So you can find me, Nate, on Twitter at Nate_Dirt19 or X. Sorry, I still call it that. And it's Nate_T2T on our Discord channel. And you can find Mark on X at MT Simon and at Simon Says 24 on the Discord. So check us out on X as well at Toilet Tiles if you're not already following. And hit that like and subscribe button. We'd all really appreciate that. I think biggest injury news today was probably the Dak Prescott one, season-ending hamstring injury surgery. Did I hear Jerry Jones say it was similar to a hockey player's injury that they get?
I missed that one. If you did,
I think I heard that on VSiN today when I was listening to it. I think that's what he said. I was like, I mean, everything you ever hear about a hockey player, it was an upper body injury. That's like what they always have. Like,
yeah.
But so he's in New York. He's getting surgery tomorrow. On Wednesday is when it's scheduled. So I don't know. And also, hamstring surgery seems weird. I don't know if is that normal.
I think it is rare. I mean, I'm sure it happens, but yeah, you don't hear a lot about it.
No. Other stuff. Shane Waldron was fired as the Bears offensive coordinator. I don't really know why, to be honest. That's really just a Matt Eberflus move to try to, because he's going to get fired anyways. But try to change things.
It starts up with ownership, man. It's
just terrible.
Bad organization.
You know, and I'm not just being a hater. Since I'm a Packers fan, like it seems like it's just a carousel that what they do. It's the same thing every time. You know, but it's not just Shane Waldron. And the same thing with, you know, it was like when they had Luke Getsy. It was like they expected him to be some phenomenal play caller. It's like the dude was never a play. He didn't call plays in Green Bay. I don't know what you guys expected him to be.
Yeah.
You know, and he goes to Las Vegas and it's the same thing, you know, and I get you can't just find an offensive coordinator and then that works. You know, you got to try new guys out. But, you know, so they're Tommy Brown, or I think whatever I'm calling him Tommy. I think it's Thomas Brown is stepping in as the play caller. He's currently the pass game coordinator, which also is weird because their pass game has been god awful. I don't know. I feel like that's not the guy to promote to call plays if they can't even throw the dang ball. Caleb's been miserable. I mean, and I'm not just like.
And there's no excuses either with all the talent on that offense.
I get their offensive line is terrible. And I said that in the offseason. I've been saying that they had a bad offensive line. But, I mean, it's not even like they're scheming like easy passes for him. You know, and his deep ball accuracy has been bad. And, again, when you're throwing to those two guys, and even we don't know Roma Dunze, who knows, but he's good. We know he's going to be good, I'm sure. But you'd think DJ Moore and Keenan Allen would make things somewhat easier.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. You have Keenan Allen, one of the best possession receivers in the NFL.
Yeah, great route runner.
He should be easy to get your short, quick passes to.
Yeah,
90% of the time.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
It just seems like things are a nightmare in Chicago. Worse. It feels worse than normal. Like this is like every year it feels like, but like this year seems like, and I was texting a friend of mine, giving him a hard time because he's a big Bears fan, and like a month ago prior to the bye and the Hail Mary, it was like, hey, we're going to the playoffs, like things are good. Now it's like, shit, we're going to be a top 5 draft pick. I mean, it was like, there was no in between.
Yeah.
And
I just think it's worse this year because they went all out with bringing all the players in. You got the generational talent at quarterback. And let's talk about that. How many quarterbacks labeled generational talents have actually gone on and done something? Trevor Lawrence was one. I mean, Andrew Luck looked good while he lasted, but then he was out of the league pretty quick.
He just retired. He said, I'm done with this. He was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. But I mean,
wasn't Josh Rosen, was he one they said was generational?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he didn't even make it in the CFL. I mean, and it's again, and I've been lucky enough to see it from the way we've done at Green Bay, but letting those guys sit is huge. If you're able to do that, behind a professional that has done it, and I know it doesn't make sense in Green Bay because Favre and Rodgers were both Hall of Famers, but any time that you can sit there to learn things, just how the game works, it's so much different than the college game. And what was I listening to? They were talking about that. Just how much different it all is. And who knows if Caleb, I get he has a lot of very, very good skills, and I don't think he's done by any means, but it's going to be tough. It's a long road now. Things are going to change, and he may not be the easiest guy to coach. I don't know. That one, all I see on Twitter, I feel like every other thing is the picture of him saying you're not going to punt very much, and then that guy has more yards than Caleb does punting the ball. So it's like, it makes me laugh, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe he isn't going to be and that's what I gave that guy. I said, well, are they giving him his gold jacket when he goes across the stage for that #1 draft pick? Like that's what you guys all said. So
remember, coming into the league, he wanted ownership of the team. Remember? Because
I do. I remember.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I don't. Their schedule's not easy going. I mean, the easiest game they probably have the rest of the season. I mean, depending, I guess, what Packers team shows up, but the Seahawks may be one of their easier games, and that's not an easy game. I mean, that. I mean, that's a tough game, but they play. I mean, they haven't played the Lions, they haven't played the Vikings, and they haven't played the Packers. So, as tough as the NFC North has been, it's going to be tough sledding for them. Those, that good chance that's probably 6 losses.
Yeah.
I don't know. Knock on wood. Who knows? We'll see what happens this weekend. But I know what I want to happen, and I have a good feeling about it. But I'm not betting on it because I don't bet on my own team.
Yeah.
Just the props.
Yeah. I wish I was that smart last night.
It's hard. It's so hard not to. When you got that feeling, you feel good, and you're like, hey, yeah. And then it just ruins your night. Cardinals are on bye this week. Which, Kyler, Harrison, James Conner, McBride, that kind of hurts. And then the Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Giants. So Chuba Hubbard, which hurts me because I drafted him late in a league and dropped him, and now he's balling out, and it just sucks. So, which is okay. I mean, my team's fine without him, but it's more so that somebody else gets to use him. So
yeah.
I guess that's it for the league neighbors. Sometimes is fantasy relevant. That's about it though. What, do you have any other good games you enjoyed this weekend besides, I guess you didn't enjoy your game?
No, I didn't. But there are two games I did want to talk about. First game I want to talk about is Detroit and the Texans. How many turnovers can you have in one game? Do you want to know something insane? Jared Goff, as a quarterback in the NFL, is 7-0 when he throws 4 or more interceptions in one game.
That's the dumbest stat there is. I mean,
let that sink in. Let that sink in. 7-0, which means he's thrown 4 interceptions in a game at least 7 times. 7-0. When he threw 4 more interceptions in one game.
How many quarterbacks have thrown 4 interceptions in one game?
How is that possible?
I gotta look
How
that up.
do you win 7 games with 4 interceptions?
I don't know. That game was obviously one of the Texans to win for the NFC Northwise, but like that game it was weird how it was like the Texans looked good, then all of a sudden it was like, yep, we're done.
Yep.
I don't know if they got complacent, and the Packers used to do it, and it pissed me off. And a lot of NFL teams do it. They like just get in cruise control. Like, oh, we're up by 2 touchdowns. Like, we can take it easy. It's like, no, you can't. Don't ever stop. I don't understand why it's like run the score up.
Yeah.
Like, I want you to win 72-4. That's not a real score. 72-7. Like, I don't want you to win by 3 touchdowns. Win by 6.
Exactly.
And it's not every time. And it bites you in the ass every single time. It's never worked out.
Yeah.
And the one thing that pissed me off at the end of the game, that was pass interference big time on that last drive on the Texans. That dude like tackled him before the ball was even close. But you can't blame it on 1 interception.
Yeah, no. So I said 2 games, but I'm actually going to pull another game in real quick.
Okay.
Steelers Commanders. I need any Steelers fan who was pro Justin Fields, anti Russ Wilson, to tell me how they're feeling now. The way he dropped that ball in, how he got that pass off to Mike Williams to drop that in the bucket for that touchdown was absolutely insane. And I'm not a Russell Wilson fan. As a Rams fan, I hated him for the longest freaking time. But what he's been able to do with that offense is pretty impressive.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he looks better than he's looked in a couple of years, like better than he looked in Seattle.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not a Russ guy either. He pissed, like I said, after how, but most interception one game was Jim Hardy, the Chicago Cardinals against the Eagles in 1950. He threw 8.
8. Okay.
I'm trying to find. It's going to be tough. Peyton Manning threw 6 in a game in 2007.
Oh, that's what I was going to mention during the news. That they signed Will Greer. Do you remember Will Greer?
Will Greer? Who did?
Will Greer, the Cowboys. They signed him to the practice squad.
Hell yeah, that's my dude, West Virginia, man. I remember Will Greer.
I was going to ask if Justin remembered him because I think he did play the game after that for like a drive, but the one game he played in the NFL was against the Colts. I think Christmas weekend, the weekend right before Christmas, he came in because he was the 3rd string behind Cam Newton and Kyle Allen, and they both got hurt, and he came in and threw 3 interceptions at 200 yards.
That's awesome.
Well,
Fitzpatrick threw 6 in 2016. It hasn't.
But how many have thrown 4 or more in 7 games?
I can't. Well, it's not like going like I want it to.
Yeah. No.
I'll do some research. Yeah. That doesn't make sense. That like, I don't know.
It doesn't seem possible, right?
No. And then Jake Bates made that kick by like a court. You probably couldn't have fit a pencil in between there. But
no, he did. He had 2 kicks like that. I remember he's thinking the exact same thing. And then The only other thing I want to ask you, the last game, is are the Chiefs going undefeated? I mean,
I don't
like
know. I mean,
after that game, I saw the video. Are you a Breaking Bad fan?
I loved it, but I got sidetracked watching it, so I haven't finished it, which sounds dumb because it's old, but like what I have watched, it is awesome.
Yeah. All I saw was memes of the video of Jesse Pinkman screaming, "He can't keep getting away with this."
Yeah. I like the one thing, and I watched that video over and over of the block because I was putting shingles on my porch on Monday or Sunday when I was listening to the games, and it was it was on XM, and it kind of runs through all the games while they're going on or whatever, and it was the Broncos call, and you hear him, Will Lutz, blah blah blah, short kick, whatever, and like the snap, and then nothing, and I'm like, what happened? My phone shut off, like. What happened? Looking around or whatever, like it was blocked. And I'm like, no way. Like that's how they won that game.
That's how they won that game.
God, but it's the same as the Lions. It's like apparently they're just gonna win. I don't, and you hate to be like, oh, it's scripted. It's not. That's bullshit. But like it feels like they're gonna win. They're not losing another game. And then I do tribute a lot of that to Spagnuolo and Andy Reid are phenomenal. But I don't know. That block kick, like I said, I watched the video and I think that dude, he's not really I guess he's still a tackle, but it's hard to with on a field goal, it's hard to say what position really is. But like he looked like he was just staring at the ground. Like, yeah, go ahead, come on in. Like, I don't know. I don't know who's going to beat him. I mean, are the Bills going to beat him this weekend?
I mean, I don't know. I don't think so. Because honestly, I think the Chiefs give the Bills the most trouble because the Bills need to run the ball to be successful. And the Chiefs front is outstanding. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be something, that's for sure. I don't know. I will see what happens, I guess, but yeah. So, our games of the week, we just talked about a couple of them there, but last week, this was like probably our lowest scores as a team last week. We had 5 points between the three of us. Justin had the Bengals and the Ravens, which was 1 point. That game was awesome. Wild game. You had the Steelers and the Washington football team. Another great game. Not necessarily the best outcome, but whatever. And then I had the 49ers and Bucks, which is another good game. I mean, all those games came down to the end.
Speaking of that game, did you see Baker's play on that last drive?
That was awesome.
Insane.
Like, I don't even think I've seen running backs do that.
No.
Like, I don't know. That was wild.
Yeah.
That was awesome. But so I have 82 points. Mark's closest to me at 104, and then Justin's at 154. So he keeps getting 1 point every week. We might catch him.
Yeah.
Maybe. So Justin has the Chiefs at the Bills. Obviously, pretty good game. That's probably the game of the week, I think, at 3 or 4:30 or whatever. I wish that'd be great. That'd have been a good night game instead of Dallas and Houston. But got to get the Cowboys in prime time.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So my game of the week this week is the Bengals and the Chargers.
I'm excited.
Both of you guys took the two games that I liked that I wanted to watch this week. The only other game I considered, and there was no way I was giving two NFC West teams the game of the week. So I was Seattle and the 49ers, but that's just interest for me.
That should be a good game.
Yeah. I think it could go one of two ways. Either the 49ers blow them out or it's a really close game.
I think the bye week came at a really good time for the Seahawks.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely need DK back.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that Bengals Chargers game. I'm just excited to watch. Herbert's been awesome.
Oh yeah.
And everybody thought Quentin Johnson was going to stink, and he might stink, but Ladd McConkey doesn't stink. And then I thought it was awesome that Hassan Haskins scored a touchdown. Now that he's playing under Harbaugh again, I saw that when he scored, I'm like, was that Dobbins? Who was that? And then it said Hassan Haskins. I was like, I didn't even know he was a Charger. But I got the Ravens at the Steelers. I don't know. Obviously, the Ravens are coming in, and so are the Steelers, both off big wins. This is a big divisional game. I don't think there's a chance that the Bengals can really win the division. It's pretty much the Ravens and the Steelers division to fight for, I think, at this point. So, should be a pretty good game. We'll see we'll see who shows up.
Yeah.
Upsets of the week. Justin has the Washington football team at Philadelphia +3. I like that. That's pretty much just the home team getting favored, the 3 points. So I know the Eagles have been playing really good, and Sirianni, somehow they're winning games. I don't like the Eagles. I really just don't like anything Philadelphia, except the TV show It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's about the only thing from that city I like. So I hope the Commanders.
What about Rocky?
Yeah, sure, that's fine too. And I like the Flyers jerseys. I don't like the Flyers, but their jerseys are cool, and I like their mascot. I don't know what his name is, but yeah. So that game, I agree. I think the Commanders can cover. I don't want to say they're down because I feel like those guys are young enough. A lot of the Commanders that when they lose, it doesn't ruin everything. You know what I mean? Like they're, short-term memory is a friend to them.
Yeah.
So I have the Chiefs. Anytime the Chiefs are getting points, I'm in. I don't.
100%.
The Chiefs are getting 1.5 points on the road. Mahomes is 11-1 against the spread as a dog. So I'll take that every day. I'm in on that one. So who you got?
The only thing I'm going to say about that is, though, it does scare me a little how crazy Vegas is, because I don't know if you looked at the props before last night's game, but Raheem Mostert's yardage prop was ridiculously low. I think it was at 24 yards or something.
And he had 23 yards.
And he didn't get a single carry.
Oh, yeah.
Vegas knows shit.
They know it all.
They know it all. So
have you ever been to Vegas?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, you know why they know. You know why they look at it. They know they don't lose.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's crazy that how close that's one thing with I love betting props, but it's so frustrating because it's it's 60. The guy's 62.5 receiving yards. He catches the ball, goes down, and he has 62 yards. And it's you knew that was going to happen. I don't know how you knew.
Yeah.
But yeah. It's wild.
All right. But yeah, my upset pick is the Steelers over the Ravens. They're getting 3 points. I think they win the game outright. I think that defense is going to cause havoc to Lamar Jackson. I think they really need Henry to have a big game to win this one.
Yeah, and I mean that's going to be tough against that Steelers defense is the real deal. And I think this will be a game where the Ravens, and obviously last weekend, with Burrow and Jamar Chase, showed how the Ravens pass defense isn't good. And I think it'll show up again this week. But the Bengals defense stinks compared to the Steelers defense. So going to make things a little tougher for Lamar and the boys. So that game's going to be awesome. I like a game this weekend.
100%.
Rolling on to our stardom sit-em. I think we got some of the same guys.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now.
I don't care. Doesn't matter because that's how much faith we have in him. We both have. I guess I'm going to spoil it because I'll tell him who I have. We already said we had the same ones. But I got Patrick Mahomes. He's the QB 15. I said Patrick hasn't been what we've come to expect this season, but they're still 9-0. Huge matchup this weekend in Buffalo. Like I said earlier, he's 11-1 as an underdog, but he's averaging over 300 yards passing and a passer rating of 116.9 when he's an underdog. I'm in on that. I will, and I mean, he's not a guy you're going to bench anyways, but just because he's a QB 15, I can say him in this thing. I'm sitting Kirk Cousins. He's the QB 9. I mean, he's been great. Kind of had some weird games where he's just not good. And then, but last week was the second time this season he hasn't thrown a touchdown. And I think he's going to have a I think the Falcons are in for a tough game. Aren't the Falcons the road dogs? Aren't they getting 2.5 points on the road?
The Falcons are getting 2.5 points on the road.
Who would have thought at the beginning of the year that the Falcons would have been the dog going into Denver?
Yeah.
Like I said, I think it's going to be tough. I think the Broncos that defense is great. And after last week, I think they're going to be running pretty hot. Just with how things went last week. And now the Broncos are the 7th seed in the AFC playoffs, so they have a ton to play for. They really can't falter. I think are they 5-5? And the AFC West isn't a joke. So obviously they're not winning the division, but being the 7th seed, if you can hang tight and keep winning, you'll be good. So running backs, I'm starting Braylon Allen. He's running back 44. I think he's had a good rookie campaign so far. Not really necessarily fantasy wise, but he's looked good when he's got the ball. Obviously Breece Hall's the lead back there. He's not going to get a ton of touches, but this week I think he will get them. I know the Jets have been bad, but the Colts haven't been good, and the Colts defense sucks. Goof Bradley, he loves letting guys just run the ball up and down the field on him. So I feel like Breece Hall is going to run for so many yards that he's going to get worn out by the end of the second quarter, and Braylon Allen's going to have to come in and run for another 100 yards. So I like him to get a lot of carries this week. Sitting DeAndre Swift, he's the running back 18. He had a bad week last week, and I hope that team sucked last week. They all do. But I think the Packers are coming to town this week off a bye week. Their defense has been good. Their run defense hasn't been, the best thing in the world, but it's been a lot better than it has been in previous seasons. I just think it's going to be a good defensive performance by the Packers. They always kind of step up more when we play the Bears. But I think it'll be tough sledding for DeAndre Swift. Wide receivers, starting A.J. Brown Thursday night. He's a wide receiver 28, only because he was hurt. He had 5 catches last week for 109 yards in a blowout against the Cowboys. The sun didn't bother him, so I don't know, whatever. But I think it'll be a better game for everybody to watch Thursday night with the Commanders coming to town. I think there'll be a lot of points scored, and I think A.J. Brown will benefit from that. I'm sitting Brian Thomas Jr. We talked about earlier. BTJ was pitiful last week with Macaroni Jones, and I think Lawrence is still out, isn't he?
I don't think they've ruled him out, but it sure looks like they're leaning that way. I mean, why are you going to rush him back? They have nothing to play for, right?
Yeah. If he's out, it's not even like temper expectations. I don't think you can start him. I mean, I in a league where I don't have to start a tight end, I'll probably start a tight end over anybody else I have. Actually, I can't because Trey McBride's on a bye this week, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Hopefully Nico's back because that'll help. It'll be Jaden Reed and Nico and Puka. I can roll with those 3. Tight ends, starting Pat Freiermuth. Did we talk about him last week? Or that might have been the waiver wire show I was talking about him. I don't remember.
Yeah,
tight end 17. He cut all 3 targets last week and a touchdown. That's not a lot, but that's about what you're going to get with tight ends this year. It's been so miserable. So what up, Rich?
What's up, Rich?
I said that's not the worst thing. Tough matchup with the Ravens this week, but I think Russ will keep his safety valve closed. I think that rush can be okay. Like I said, they're not good against the pass. So I'm sitting Mike Gesicki, tight end 11. He had a terrible week last week. He had like 9 targets and didn't score any points. I think T. Higgins is probably coming back this week. Good chance of it anyways, maybe not. But if he is coming back, you definitely can't start him. If he's not coming back, I still temper my expectations because he just kind of hasn't been very good. So go ahead.
Yeah. All right. So like you mentioned, I'm also starting Patrick Mahomes, QB 15. I expect this game to be a little more high scoring than we're used to with the Chiefs games. So I think he's going to have to keep up with Buffalo, which I think he'll have no problem doing. I'm also benching Kirk Cousins. I mean, there's some games he looks great, like really showcases everything they have in that offense. And then there's games he just falls flat on his face like last week. And with Denver's defense, I think that's going to happen again this week. So start for my starting running back, kind of a little cheating. It's Jonathan Taylor. He's running back 25, just outside the top of 24. He had injuries earlier in the season. Going against the Jets defense, I mean, yes, please sign me up. Sitting I'm sitting J.K. Dobbins. He's running back 15. You kind of mentioned it earlier, but they seem to want to do what we were all afraid of at the beginning of the season. They're going to give carries to everyone who's ever been a running back ever in their career. Like you said,
Yeah, Gus Edwards too. Like who else we got on the roster? Like load them up.
Anybody we can hand the ball to are going to do that.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've mentioned it many times on the show, since these secondary is awful, that's where you beat them. So they've already shown they're willing to let Herbert chuck the ball, and that's what they're going to do to try to win this game. Receivers, I was also going to put A.J. Brown, but then I remembered Jawan Jennings is wide receiver 31. I mentioned a couple shows ago, if he was dropped in your league while he was hurt or while they were heading into the bye to scoop him up, I think he's going to be heavily involved in that offense now that with Ayuk out. Even with CMC back, he's still going to be involved. So I like him going forward. And I mean, my sit might be crazy to some people, but I'm sitting CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver 5. What an awful blow to a stud receiver heading into almost playoff time of the fantasy season. I mean, the big question when Dak went down was what's life going to look without him? And it looked awful. I don't have confidence in anybody in that quarterback room to be able to get him the ball.
Trey Lance stinks. I've been saying that since he got drafted. Year away from being a year away. And everybody on Twitter is blowing up. Oh, well, let's start Trey Lance. Let's just see what he's got. You know what he's got. He stinks. He couldn't do shit in the preseason. You think he's going to do something in the regular season? And don't say, oh, well, we can get a better draft pick. Cooper Rush isn't going to win you any games either. Your team stinks. Like,
one of the most creative minds in football had him in their quarterback room and said, no, we can't use this guy.
He didn't even want to draft him.
Yeah.
He got bamboozled by Lynch and those guys. They made him draft. He didn't want him.
Yeah, no. So, yeah, I'm extremely worried about CeeDee Lamb going forward for the rest of the season. Starting tight end, David Njoku, tight end number 19, coming off a bye against New Orleans. Jameis is still your QB. I expect him to be heavily involved. I'm sitting Dalton Kincaid. I think I had him on there last week. He's still tight end 12, but he's seen a ton of targets, but he's doing absolutely nothing with them. And he's only got 2 touchdowns on the season, so you can't even really look towards that upside either.
No. Yeah, I don't know. I meant to talk about that earlier when we were talking about the Cowboys. That whole thing. And it was funny because I heard somebody say this. It's been a while, but, I don't know how many guys are out there. Nobody wants Dak because he can't win this, can't win that. It's like, what's your other option?
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do to, like, what's going to work? I mean, and I think they overachieved last year. I think they're still upset from getting the doors blown off them in the playoffs, but they're not as good as they were last year. Their defense sucks. Whether Micah Parsons plays or not, they're not good. And, it's like I heard somebody say they're like, you don't appreciate water till you don't have it, So like, and we thought Minnesota was going to be bad without Cousins and because of how things went last year, but Sam Darnold, obviously things are fine, but that's kind of I don't want to say an anomaly or whatever, but like, what's your plan? What were you going to do besides Dak Prescott? You think that Cooper Rush is going to win you games this year? You're just going to not have Dak there and just lose every game?
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Like you mentioned with Darnold being an anomaly, like it's not easy to go out and find a quarterback, whether it be free agency or whatever. Like you have to be lucky in the right time to have somebody available you can go grab. And then if you don't go that route and you just get rid of them and want to rebuild and go through the draft, like you're wasting CeeDee Lamb in the prime of his career for how many years will you try to find that new quarterback?
Yeah, what'd you even sign him for?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what they even do. And I mean, it's like, it's same like, with your Rams, what's their plan? Is how long? Because I love Matt Stafford, but what's the plan with it when he's done? If if he's going to be there. I don't know. How long's his contract? What's he got? 2 years left?
Yeah. Well, yeah, they just signed a 1 year extension to his
Like,
deal.
you know what? But I guess nobody in LA is being like, "Ah, we don't want Stafford here anymore." You know what I mean? But like, it's hard. Like, you don't know what, because most cases, maybe not the Giants. I'm trying to think of other teams that quarterback sucks. The Dolphins too sucks. Those teams like that. The other option may be not much different than what you have now, so like it really doesn't matter. But I mean, I know that Tua is better than Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle or whoever hell the backup is there. But like, I mean, is Daniel Jones that much better than Drew Lock? I mean, he's probably better, but like the alternative is not much different than what you have now.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, most teams, like, you can't just because the guy isn't, the alternative is not better. I promise.
No. I think Indy was one of the Indy and Cleveland were the two exceptions to the rule there.
Yeah.
And
I think I heard something, I think it was Michael Lombardi said something like, Joe Flacco, like he's like a middle reliever. Like the more he plays, the less he's gonna, like the less good he's gonna be because he's getting worn out. Like, those few first games, it was like, yeah, he's good, man. Like, I don't even know when Joe Flacco got drafted, but he signed like a mega deal with the Ravens, like 14 years ago, it feels like now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's been playing football for a long time.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't have the gas left. But,
well, I kind of feel like it's kind of crazy, though, because I kind of feel the same about Sam Darnold with the Vikings, because the Vikings came out, they were amazing to start the season. Everybody was talking about them being a possible Super Bowl contender. And then it feels like they just fell off the face of the earth. But then you look at the record and they're still 7-2.
Yeah.
So, like, what is it? Like, are they a great team? Are they middle of the road? Are they on their downslope now and it's going to continue? I mean, they barely beat the Jaguars without Trevor Lawrence.
I think they're on their downhill slide. But
yeah,
Joe Flacco was drafted in 2008, 1 year after I graduated high school. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Go Delaware. We'll move on to our waiver ads. The hot waiver ad, guy you pick up 60% or less of leagues. I think this is the one we want to keep throughout the rest of the season. Justin has, this is credit to Jason for this one. He said, is it Estemi? I don't know how to say it. Audric Estemi or whatever. The dude for the Broncos, the running back.
I thought it was Estime. I don't know.
Estime. That's right. Yep. He's like 1% owned. He had 14 opportunities last week against Kansas City. And Peyton came away impressed and was like, we're going to get this guy more touches. So my favorite guy ever, not favorite ever, that's Nick Chubb, but Javonte Williams, it may be done. Maybe it's over. Maybe it's not going to be a thing anymore. So I think he's losing his role. So I have Hunter Henry. He was like 54% rostered. He's been good for, didn't matter what quarterback, whether it was Jacoby or Drake May. Not like world beater good, but like good enough. And as bad as tight end's been this year, you can do worse than Hunter Henry, I think. So except you can probably get him for pretty cheap if you have Fab, or may not even anything, just get him for free. So who you got?
I have Gus Edwards. I think chances are he was owned early in the season with the uncertainty of that backfield, but I can guarantee he was dropped in a ton of those leagues. Yeah. So I would go grab him. He got 10 carries last week for 55 yards. You want running backs in Harbaugh's offense. I'm not saying you go grab them and throw them in your lineup, but I think you pick them up, stash them, and see how it works itself out.
I agree. Yeah, it's like I said, they're definitely going to run the rock. That's for sure. Weekly streams, they're guys that you just love for this week. Again, 60% or less. And yeah, not necessarily rest season. Justin has a good one for us. This is a kicker. Old Bill Lutz for the Broncos. Mister, I get my 35-yarder block. Kick that thing up, by the way. You're in Denver. Like, kick it up in the air. It's time for a weekly Who is Kicking Against the Falcons segment. He said this is a weekly deadlock must start. Unfortunately, the game is not indoors in Atlanta, but the winds in Denver should be about 3 miles an hour on Sunday, so practically non-existing. With colder temperatures, I can't go any farther. I don't even see what else he said because it went away from me. Where'd it go?
Leave it to Justin to write a book about a kicker.
He loves it. Oh, there we go. With cooler temperatures in the mid-40s on kickoff, the ball can really travel in Mile High Stadium against a bend don't break defense that also sometimes breaks. Hell yeah. I like it. For all your kicker stuff, join our Discord, get in the Patreon, or get the Patreon, and you get the waiver episodes. Justin's always writing all these. Joe and I talk about kickers a lot on the Monday waiver episode because Justin just loves talking about kickers. So if you want more kicker talk, hit us up. My guy, I got MVS. He had a huge 3 catches and like 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah.
I watched him drop a lot of passes in Green Bay, so good for him. I'm sure he'll do the same. But he had a huge day last weekend, and they got the Browns this weekend. I don't expect the same production, but maybe a touchdown. And Derek Carr doesn't really have anybody else to throw the ball to. So, yeah, that's my guy. What do you got for us?
So I have Justin Herbert, talked about it a little earlier. The Chargers opened up that offense, and they're allowing Herbert to start slinging the ball. And I know I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but they're going against Cincinnati's secondary, which is awful. So I think he's a good stream this week.
For sure. Moving into the one and done. Justin is still winning. I must have passed you last weekend.
I looked at the scores and I'm like, what the hell happened? I fell way off. And then I looked and my big swing at Saquon Barkley, 8 points.
Yeah. The only thing that helped me was Jamar Chase getting me 55 points.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll go over Justin's real quick. Last week, if I can find, here we go. Last week, Justin had Josh Allen, who got him 20 points. Then he had Aaron Jones, only had 12 points. I think he got hurt. I don't know. I guess he's still okay. He also had Jamar Chase, got 55 points. And then Taysom Hill, 7 points. He lied to us. He said he was going to have a huge game.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Liar.
That son of a gun. His QB this week, he's got Russ Wilson against Baltimore. We've been waxing poetic about him all night. His running back is Joe Mixon at Dallas. I didn't really think about that. If I hadn't started C.J. Stroud, he'd have been a good one. I got a feeling the Texans beat the Cowboys by like at least 3 touchdowns, right? Try to get back on the track. His wide receiver is George Pickens versus Baltimore, and his tight end is Hunter Henry versus the Rams. I guess I forgot. He has 689.16 points. I'm in second with 682.44, and Mark 638.78. So,
yeah,
we're trying to catch
the only guy who didn't take Jamar Chase last week.
Yeah, I guess that's why I looked. I'm like, how did I pass Mark? And I'm like, oh well, that's how right there. Because the rest of my team last week was not that good. I had who was my quarterback?
Hurts was good.
Oh yeah, no, and Jalen Hurts, that also helped. Jalen Hurts got me 34.6 points. My running back was David Montgomery, got me 12 points, which not that great. Jamar Chase getting 55, and then my tight end Kate Otten got me 8.5 points. That was disappointing. You'd think he was going to be back ready to go. This week I'm going Pat Mahomes at Buffalo. Like I said earlier, averaging over 300 yards as a dog, 117 almost passer rating. Like, let's do it. I know none of his matchups are easy, but I think, like I said, I think they're going to, want to control the ball, which means they'll run a little bit, but I still feel pretty good with having him. Running back, I'm going Breece Hall. Talked about Braylon Allen earlier, going against Goof Bradley's terrible rush defense. So give me Breece Hall. My wide receiver is Amon-Ra St. Brown against the Jaguars. They suck. The Lions are going to score a lot of points, and they would do some dumb shit probably. Hopefully I get some extra points if Amon-Ra throws a touchdown. Do we get any bonus points for that?
I don't know about bonus points, but you sure get his passing touchdown points.
There we go. And then my tight end, am worried about this because we both said don't start Cousins, but if anybody, at least he shouldn't have Pat Surtain on him, so I'll take Kyle Pitts. going against the Broncos.
All right. So last week I had Russell Wilson as my quarterback. He did a fine job, 25 points. And then Saquon Barkley, I mentioned, only 8 points. He got you 32.9 a couple weeks ago. Yeah. Big discrepancy there.
A little bit of swing.
And then I had Zay Flowers, who, God, like, when I mentioned I was taking Zay Flowers, I said I hate taking a wide receiver from Lamar Jackson, but it was the Bengals secondary. But Jesus Christ.
Did he have 4 touchdowns?
He threw to Tayon Wallace?
Tylan Wallace? Yeah, the Oklahoma State Cowboy.
50 times?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a bust.
Rashad Bateman had a touchdown. I just – didn't he throw 4 touchdowns, though?
Maybe he did. Yeah. Yeah, I mean –
how does he throw 4 touchdowns and Zay Flowers doesn't score?
Yeah, right. I picked him. That's how.
Oh, well.
My tight end was Evan Ingram, 10 points. Sure, whatever. Who cares? So this week, I'm going with Justin Herbert at quarterback. We kind of talked about that all show. That one was tough for me because I wanted to go Patrick Mahomes too, because I do think he has a big game. But in the back of my head, like I mentioned earlier, I'm a little worried that Buffalo struggles if they can't run the ball. And if they can't run the ball and they don't score, Kansas City is going to want to keep the game low scoring if they can. So that kind of scares me a little bit.
Yep.
So I went away with it. But my running back, I'm going with Jonathan Taylor, Jets defense. Let's see if I can actually get some points from a stud this time. Wide receiver, I'm going with Tyreek Hill. It looks like Tua's starting to catch a little groove, and he was the only one who caught a touchdown pass last night out of any team. So I think he's on the right track. And tight end, this is getting hard now. Like, it's hard to pick.
Tight end sucks. Can we just not have tight? Can we just pick 2 receivers next week?
So I'm going Njoku. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. I wanted to take Brock Bowers, but I feel like that was a bad move because the Dolphins defense is going to be good. So
the only thing is I'm worried because I haven't used Kate Otten yet, and I want to get him in before Mike Evans comes back, and Mike Evans might come back after the bye. So
you should have missed
my window.
You might have. Well, you know what though? He hasn't been that great. He was only good the first week Evans was gone. Like then it was kind of downhill. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe next week it'll be better. Our touchdown parlay. I think last week my guy hit. Didn't I have Derrick Henry last week?
Who'd you have last week? Derrick Henry. He did hit. Mine didn't because I had Kyron, and I already told you the Rams didn't score a touchdown at all last week.
And Justin had Blake Corum. We picked the wrong old Michigan running back. Should have picked Hassan Haskins like everybody else knew he was going to score a touchdown.
Right.
Justin has CMC against Seattle. That's a good pick. He had a pretty sweet game last week coming back. So, I like that one. I got AJ Brown at the against the Washington football team. I just think he's, he had a big week last week and didn't get in the end zone. I think this week he does. I think you were talking about him earlier too. So,
I went with Montgomery. The only way he doesn't score a touchdown this week is if he gets hurt. I guarantee a touchdown out of him. There's no way he's not scoring.
Hopefully him and Jahmyr Gibbs both get in it. And Amon-Ra St. Brown. Why not? So please hit the like and subscribe button. Hit us up for the Discord invite. Like I said, you guys hit either one of us up on Twitter. You can hit the show up Total Titles on Twitter or on X, sorry. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Total Titles. There's 5 different tiers. And like I said, if you're already a member, we do appreciate everything you guys do for us. Like I said, we wouldn't be able to do what we do without you. Like I said, we've been having fun doing the waiver episodes. I love doing those with Joe. But the link to our Discord is in the show description. So if you're not already in there and you want to get in there, hit us up. We'd love to have you. You got anything else before we get out of here, Mark?
There were 2 questions in the chat from Juan.
I missed them. My bad.
So he says, traded DJ Moore for Ramondre Stevenson, still got Walker, Kyron, and Brees Hall. My wide receivers are Justin Jefferson, Mooney, Downs, Myers, Madison, and ETN on my bench. Do I trade Stevenson for a receiver?
I guess it depends on how many you can start. But you got a shit ton of running backs.
Yeah, you do have a shit ton of running backs. And I think this kind of goes with it. Got offered Debo and Waddle for Walker, or should I counter with Stevenson for Debo straight out? I think I might do the Walker deal. No,
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You still have Kyron Williams and Brees Hall and ETN on the bench. I mean, Madison doesn't really count.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Miami's starting to catch a groove here with Tua back, and Waddle was heavily targeted last night, so
yeah,
I like getting him depth with. I mean, outside of Jefferson, Mooney's been fine, and Downs has been good too. But
if you get Debo and Waddle, having Justin Jefferson, Debo, and Waddle is very good.
Yeah,
you're not going to start anybody else.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
you're really not hurting yourself with still having Stevenson, or Kyron, and Brees Hall. Yeah. Even after this deal. So
I think that's a smash accept, as I believe they all call it, right?
Yeah.
I'm definitely doing that. I got offered to trade in another league today. Where'd it go? I could ask you what you think about it before we get out of here. I'm pretty sure I'm saying no. I'm not in the hunt at all. I'm not sure what this guy was thinking. He's offered me Jerome Ford and Derwin James for Kareem Hunt and Debo Samuel. And the more I look, I'm like, I'm not giving you Debo. I mean, my team's not good, but I'd like to keep him around, and you're not even giving me pieces to do anything with.
Yeah.
I don't think Jerome Ford's the answer in Cleveland. Even
no.
As bad as they are, and safeties are a dime a dozen.
Yeah. Tell me what you think about this one.
Okay.
I think it was a fair offer. So this is a eight-man keeper league. You get to keep 8 players from your team. So it's not quite a dynasty, but you're pretty much keeping your whole starting lineup. I'm 3-7 in that league. 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th in that division are all 3-7. How that happened, I have no idea. So, I mean, technically, we're all still tied for a playoff spot, but 3-7 is not a good record.
No.
So I have, and half my team is injured I had Diggs out for the season, Mike Evans, he's injured, possibly coming back. Just a lot of injuries. And I have CMC on that team. So CMC just came back, and I got offered Tracy and a first-round pick for CMC.
That's tough.
I turned it down. I think it's fair.
I don't think it's far off. But the problem with Tracy is like the Giants are really bad. And I know he's been pretty decent, but they still love Devin Singletary no matter what. And I don't know what kind of deal he signed there last year, but I don't know. I sure it'd be nice to have a first, but I don't know. I think that is a good offer, but I'd have a hard time accepting it too.
Yeah. So I turned it down, and what I told him was I think Tracy's been great. If you own him, you have a lot of promise for him. But like you said, the Giants are really bad. And
it's not like they're going to be good. They're just going to be good next year all of a sudden. They're going to suck again.
Well, the thing is, that whole team could be different next year too.
Yeah.
And that's what scares me with trying to do a rebuild and grabbing a player from a team like that, because who knows if they draft a running back, they go get somebody out. You have no idea what to expect from that team next year.
No.
So I thought it was a fair offer. I agree. pulled the trigger.
I think that is good, but I just the Giants are one of those teams where like I don't really want anybody on the team.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Malik Neighbors is probably the only guy that I would be interested in, or that Theo Johnson. That dude, he's pretty good. I wish Jalen Hyatt would be good, but I don't know if that's going to ever be a thing. But
yeah,
it's
like I said, it's one of those things. Like if you have those guys already on your team, sure, it costs you nothing at this point. But I'm not going out and actively trying to buy them from somebody.
No chance. So, but yeah, unless you got anything else.
No, I think we're good. Nice quick show.
Hell yeah, just hit an hour. Perfect timing. We will be back next week after a stellar week 11. Good luck, good gambling. And like I said, if you got any questions, hit us up on Discord or on Twitter. Find us wherever. And we'll see y'all next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Peace out.
We give fantasy football advice to get your crap team to the finals. From Nate's cousin Eddie persona and his unapologetic love for Chubb and Justin's hatred for Chris Ballard, our show is as good as a belly rub. Mark is the best of the NFC West, putting down Penguin Pete with his love for the Rams. Grab a whiskey or beer, we're glad you're here. Welcome to the family, but plan for gibberish and rambling. We have recent news and games of the week. We talk PPR and weekly streams. Start 'em and sit 'em, keep 'em or quit 'em. Hit the like and sub buttons for the fellas. Got any suggestions? Just tell us.